Under the types of bank, there are various kinds of bank such as public and the private sector banks, cooperative sector banks, evolution of digital banking, meaning of digital banking, features of digital banking, and merits and demerits of digital banking. This Banking Regulation Act 1949 was started in 16th March 1949. Hello everybody, a warm welcome to one and all. I am Mr. Hemant Kumar from the Department of Commerce and Management, Vidhyaashram First Aid College, MYSURU, the Temple of Excellence. Today's session is about the banking law and practice, a new subject as per the SEP syllabus. So this subject is for first semester BCom students. This subject comes under the State Education Policy under the University of Mysuru. The agenda of today's session is we are going to know about the various units that is included in the subject, marks details, what is the marks pattern in the SEP, and also internals details, and also final exam details. So this is a syllabus for the BCom students of the first semester. The name of the subject is Banking Law and Practice. This subject consists of 5 units. Unit 1, Introduction to the Banking. Unit 2, Banking Regulation Act 1949. Unit 3, Banking Regulation Act 1949. This Unit 3 is the continuation of the Unit 2. Unit 4, that is Reserve Bank of India. Unit 5, Digital Banking. So these are the contents of the Unit 1, that is Evolution of Banking System in India, Definition and Objectives of Banking, Types of Bank. Under the types of bank, there are various kinds of bank such as public and the private sector banks, cooperative sector banks, payment banks, small finance bank, land development bank, and the forex bank. And also we are going to the concept of banking in Gifty City. This is the contents of Unit 2, that is Banking Regulation Act 1949. Actually, this Banking Regulation Act 1949 was started in 16th March 1949 as a Banking Companies Act 1949. Later, it had renamed as a Banking Regulation Act 1949. So, this Banking Regulation Act is a legislation in India that governs the banking companies in India. The contents are provisions under Part 1, that is preliminary, short title, extent and commencement, and the definitions. So provisions under the Part 2, that is business of banking companies. This Unit 3 is the continuation of Unit 2. Here in the Unit 2, we had studied the provisions under Part 1, provisions under Part 2. In Unit 3, we are going to study the provisions under Part 2A, provisions under Part 2AB, and provisions under Part 2B. So these are the contents of Unit 3. Under the provisions of Part 2A of Banking Regulation Act 1949, we are going to study the control over the management. Under the provisions of Part 2AB of the Banking Regulation Act 1949, we are going to study the separation of Board of Directors of the banking companies. Under the provisions of Part 2B of the Banking Regulation Act 1949, we are going to study the prohibition of certain activities in the relation to the banking companies. There are some prohibitions which comes under the banking companies that we are going to study under this topic. Under this unit, we are going to study the establishment of Reserve Bank of India, the preamble, central board, functions of Reserve Bank of India, monetary authority, Reserve Bank of India as a regulator and the supervisor of financial system, and also manager of foreign currency. And also we are going to study the issue of currency and the developmental role that is played by the Reserve Bank of India, regulator and the supervisor of payment, and also the settlement system and related functions that is related to the settlement systems. Unit 5, that is digital banking. These are the contents of Unit 5, that is the evolution of digital banking, meaning of digital banking, features of digital banking, and also the merits and demerits of digital banking, the security measures of the digital banking, and also traditional banking versus the digital banking. Here we are going to find the difference between the traditional banking and the modern banking, that is digital banking. E-banking transactions, RTGS, NEFT and SWIFT, digital banks applications, and the mobile banking. These are the topics that we are going to cover in Unit 5. Moving forward, these are the marks details under the SEP syllabus. This paper is for 100 marks, for which you will be having 20 marks for the internals and 80 marks for the externals. This 20 marks is divided into two categories. The first one is the continuous and the comprehensive evaluation for 10 marks, and the internal assessment test, that is part B, for the 10 marks. Both part A and part B together form a 20 marks for the internals and remaining 80 marks for the externals. Means you people are going to write the exam for 80 marks. So here there are some criteria to get qualified in this subject. That is, you must score minimum of 30% in the written exam for 80 marks. For 80 marks, at least you are going to score 24 marks out of 80 marks to qualify in this paper, and also internals and externals together you are going to score 40 marks, that is 40% in this subject. I repeat, in the final exam, that is for 80 marks, you are going to score minimum of 24 marks to qualified in this paper, that is the 30% of 80 marks, and overallly including the internals and the externals, you have to score 40 marks for 100 marks to get qualified in this paper. This is a pattern of the internal assessment test. So this test is conducted for 30 marks. The duration of the test is 1 hour 30 minutes. This test consists of 3 parts, part A, part B and part C. In part A, there are 2 questions of 5 marks where you are going to answer only one among 2 questions. Here in part B, there are 2 questions of 10 marks. You are going to attend only one among 2 questions. Here in part C, there are 2 questions of 15 marks where you are going to attend only one question among 2 questions. This is the final exam question paper pattern. This question paper is for 80 marks, which consists of part A, part B and part C. In part A, you are going to attend 4 questions of 5 marks, that is 5 4s are 20. In part B, you are going to attend 3 questions of 10 marks, that is 10 3s are 30. In part C, you are going to attend 2 questions of 15 marks, that is 15 2s are 30. 20 plus 30 plus 30, it is 80 marks. So your final exam is for 80 marks. You are going to write the exam for 80 marks. And even I have a book for the reference for my subject, that is the Law and Practice of Banking by Abhilash Chandra. So this is one of the best book that is available in the market. I will assure you, telling that if you refer this book for this subject, you can get out of marks in this subject. And with the reference of this book, the notes that I am going to circulate is much than enough to score out of marks, dear students. So please refer this book and also consider the notes that I am going to circulate you. That notes is as per the syllabus of University of Mysuru. Thank you.